we also did get word this morning from Mike Tomlin, who normally is a Tuesday talker during the week. He's coming off of a short week against the Bengals, so he was at the podium today. He was asked about the trade of Joe Flacco to Cincinnati since they faced the Bengals on Thursday night, and Tomlin had this to say.
To be honest, it was shocking to me. Andrew Berry must be a lot smarter than me or us, because it doesn't make sense to me to trade a quarterback that you think enough of to make your opening day starter to a division opponent that's hurting in that area. But that's just my personal feelings.
When the Bengals acquired him, knowing what you know about Zach and how he likes to run his offense, from Cincinnati's perspective, did it make sense for them?
It certainly made sense from Cincinnati's perspective.
All right, so that's a pretty blunt, honest answer from Mike Tomlin right there.
Amazing. Literally
laughing about whether it made sense for the Bengals. I mean, you don't see intra-division quarterback trades hardly ever. Donovan McNabb, once upon a time, when the Eagles moved on from him, sent him to Washington. But that was also, late career Donovan McNabb, and they probably felt pretty confident that this was not going to be a net positive for the opponent, that this was not going to be something that was suddenly going to take the Washington football team of a different name at the time and make them into contenders. Where it seems like the issue becomes here, well, there's multiple issues for Mike Tomlin, but one of them being the Bengals were in dire straits. They called all over the NFL. We talked about this yesterday on NFL Network. They called everybody and tried to figure out what quarterback would be available. The one guy that they called on and they actually got traction on was Joe Flacco. In other words, if not for the Flacco trade, it might well have been Jake Browning again, and it wouldn't have mattered big picture yesterday because they still lose to the Packers, but the offense did look more functional. Now it's a short week. You have Joe Flacco, again, coming off of what I would say was an overall encouraging performance. We know what Joe Flacco is. We know what he's not. It's not like he was going to come out and throw for 500 yards. He's a 4-year-old quarterback who is good enough to be accurate and play on time and throw the football to your best players. Jamar Chase might have the catch of the year, but Joe Flacco is the one who puts that ball on him and gives him the opportunity. So if you're the Steelers, you're going, why would you do that? Well, we're the team in first place here. You're hurting yourself too, because now Flacco, if he goes and plays well, doesn't that kind of look like the Browns were the problem? In being totally fair to Cleveland, they don't have Jamar Chase. They don't have T. Higgins. They have Jerry Jeudy, who's probably not a true number one. He's probably a number 2 receiver in the league. Bengals have 2 ones. That's going to help a lot of quarterbacks look better. Both teams have offensive line issues that they continue to work through. But it does create this awkward dynamic of if you give your starting quarterback that you began the year with, that you named the starter, and you hand him over to a division rival, and that team then makes a playoff run, this doesn't reflect great on anybody involved on that from Cleveland's side. I certainly understand why they went to Dylan Gabriel sooner than they had anticipated. They did not go in going, you know what? We should give Dylan Gabriel his first start week 5 in London against Brian Flores' defense. That's going to help. That's not the way that you draw it up. But you're also going, we're not going to have use for Joe Flacco. At some point, we need to see Shedeur. So we're going to pass over Joe and go to Shedeur somewhere down the line. Why wouldn't we take a higher draft pick when we are building for 2026? So I do actually understand it from the Browns' perspective. But from Mike Tomlin's perspective, if last year, I mean, let's flip this on its head. If last year the Ravens had an injury to Lamar, like the situation they've been in this year, and the Steelers, after going to Russell Wilson, said, all right, we'll trade Justin Fields. It's different, but it's not that different. A guy who wasn't playing well enough, the offense wasn't playing well enough to stay in the lineup. Russ was, of course, the QB1 till he got hurt in camp. But still, it's your number 2 quarterback that you're traded to a division rival that has a dire need to keep them afloat. This might not matter. The Steelers might go into Cincinnati on a Thursday night. Got to be the first short week game involving two 40-something-year-old quarterbacks. Just has to. There's no way either one of these guys, regardless how much they got hit, no way either of these guys are going to be feeling great Thursday night, right? Ooh, no way. I struggle to, lift on consecutive days, okay? It's not, you get into your 40s. Life in general hurts a little bit more. And these two guys certainly, without a full week of just rest and recovery from playing a high-level athletic event, I would think that they'll be carrying a lot. Steelers might go in there and win on Thursday night. But if they don't, we're going to be waking up on Friday and talking about the guy who was the Browns QB1 2 weeks ago. He was traded 6 days ago? Yeah. It's only been 6 days since the Joe Flacco trade.
Not long.
He's the guy who gives them a chance to get back into it. And by the way, for everything that has happened to this point, a Bengals win Thursday night over the Steelers will get them one game back in the win column from Pittsburgh. That's how alive they remain.
All right, hold on a second.
At this point.
I want to talk this out. Last week, right, we were all pretty shocked that the Giants beat the Eagles, yeah?
Sure.
Would you be more shocked at that result or if the Bengals beat the Steelers with Joe Flacco there a week?
Good question. I would say Bengals being the Steelers wouldn't shock me.
Really?
Home game for Cincinnati. They're a talented team. The Giants was more surprising. Even with the Eagles' ongoing issues, it just kind of felt like one of those games all right, this could be where the Eagles kind of get rolling again. Okay. Should have been a get-right game, not a launching pad for the next generation of Giants superstars.
Rich called them Tango and Cash.
Did you think we were going to be talking Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo on the show on Friday morning? I'd say probably not.
No, but it was awesome.
That's where we ended up.
But Flacco being there a week and then beating Pittsburgh and having them back into the playoff, sniffing it kind of talk, that would be pretty shocking to me.
We'll see, too, Cincinnati, whether or not they'll have Trey Hendrickson. I don't get the sense that this is a major injury for Trey Hendrickson, but does he play on a short week? I don't know. The Bengals offensive line has been okay at best. Defensively, they played better in that game yesterday against Green Bay, but it's still not they've got young guys who are pretty good, but it's still not a unit that has functioned at a super high level in the early portion of the season here. So no, I wouldn't be shocked if the Bengals win that game. They just need it to be their type of game, and they're going to have to get after Aaron Rodgers. Not let him stand in the pocket and just flick the ball all over the place, make him move around, make him extend plays. That's been his bread and butter for a long time, just not at this stage in his career. Do they have that up their sleeve? How does Al Golden approach this game? I just know this. That place, that building, it's one of the older stadiums, no-frills stadiums in the league, but it will be jumping on Thursday night. The fans will be in there. I believe it's a whiteout game for them. Ooh. It's your division rival coming in. It's the season. Bring up the Bengals schedule again here. This is the season for Cincinnati. You lose that game to Pittsburgh, you're in the spot that you were last year, where you're 2-5. Mathematically, you got a chance, but it's going to be hard, man. It's going to be hard to win enough games. You win that game to get to 3-4. Then you face the Jets, who at this point you have to look at as being a team that's in sell mode. And then the Bears at home again. A Chicago team that's going to be thinking about, all right, what direction are we going at the trade deadline? We'll see what happens tonight against Washington. I don't see any reason that the Bengals can't put themselves back in the mix by the bye. But you'd be hard-pressed to pull it off if you don't win this one Thursday night.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.